This is Marty Porter. This is Silicon Valley Video. We're an initiative of SVG Sports Video Group, and we've been working with our friends at ASG and B&H the Studio for about a year or two, trying to get this community of corporate and an event videographers from the big tech companies together. And we started in the physical world. We escaped, like most of you, into the virtual world, and we're staying here for a while. But we've got an exciting evening. It's going to be really fast. I've got a lot to do, and we're gonna keep it moving really fast because we've got some great presentations by some great companies. So thanks all for joining on Veterans Day. This is our Veterans Day edition of Silicon Valley Video Gear Night. Just to get into some very basic information and etiquette and the like. Just a reminder that we thank our sponsors, Advanced Systems Group and the Studio at B&H, who've making this happen and helping us to really build this community. It's been great, and thank them for it. Couple of quick things Michael said before. Mute your microphone. Let's do that so we don't interfere with the presentations. It'll look better if you select speaker view, not gallery. And forget this third question, because if you have a question, we're gonna break out in the after the presentations in the various breakout rooms. So hold your questions this time as well. And if you don't know how to do the breakout rooms, we'll show you later. But in the meantime, let's get started. And I don't know if has Dave Van Hoy stepped in the room yet? Is Dave here? All right. Well, Dave will join us, and we'll get him involved in the conversation as well. And just to start it out, I think
Dave is here.
Dave,
Yeah.
Where are you, Dave?
I'm labeled as Paul, apparently. I changed.
Oh, is that you? Okay.
Who knew?
Well, let me throw it over to Dave, because Dave, you and the folks at ASG curated this evening. You're the one who said these would be some great companies who you could have seen at NAB if there had been an NAB. So let's give it a few quick minutes, 5 minutes sort of introduction to what you see happening in the industry, particularly why you guys are so interested in hearing what AVID, EditShare, NEWTEK, Viz, and Quantum have going on.
Well, thanks, Marty. And, it's a pleasure to be here, sponsoring SVV since just before the pandemic. And Marty, thank you for helping us put it together. I think it's an important thing for the community, and especially modeling after the success of SVG, which is, clearly a huge success. And, tonight was an opportunity to bring forward some of our vendors that we work with, closely, that really contribute to what our clients do every day. And, we didn't get to go to Las Vegas again. Apparently, we're going to reset the roulette wheel and try again in April. But in the meantime, there's a lot of new stuff from these vendors that's really relevant, and both in remote workflows, and also as people are coming back into their facilities, which is happening more and more. I actually spent a day in the field yesterday. I felt like it was like time travel, and in a client site. It's like, wow, look at this, humans. Who knew? And so, so we really thought about it and tried to look at what we thought would be really relevant for, this group and the challenges they're facing now. And, so we chose, the two different parts of AVID, which, address different parts of their very large portfolio. And the EditShare folks, who have been tremendous with us on, especially in some cloud file system kinds of things. Quantum, which has been, a staple in our world, literally for 22 years, that we've been putting Quantum, file systems into client sites, and has really helped us build our business. NEWTEK is, almost what goes without saying, and then of course it's brethren Viz, and NEWTEK, and our remote workflows has been key and has made a huge difference. And Viz, especially Pino's help in getting our cloud live production business going, quite frankly, we couldn't have done it without you. And so we really feel that these are some good representative things that will be of interest across the entire community today.
All right. Well, good. Well, thanks, Dave. And Dave, since I got you, one other quick thing. So anything new from the ASG front? What's going on?
Lots going on. We are continuing to add people. We are super excited. Next week, the rebirth of Comcast G4 channel launches, and we built that entire facility, and we're super proud of it. And it's an incredible facility. And pretty soon there'll be some news on a couple of other big facilities with some clients launching. We also promoted David Schleifer, who some of certainly the vendor group probably knows, from our VP of Strategic Operations to COO this last week, which is a big step in the growth of the company. And as we're rapidly approaching 400 employees, so it's pretty interesting stuff going on. And
hell
as
of a
well,
payroll, huh?
It's somebody needs to do the work. That seems to be the problem.
Well,
and
good.
it's challenging hiring right now. We're still, the number of jobs we have open is amazing. And so I feel very lucky to be in that position.
Well, great. All right. Well, Dave, again, thanks for the support. Thanks for curating tonight's evening. If you got something to say, you're the only one who could pop in the conversation, but you join this conversations later. And just a reminder for everybody on the Zoom, these are going to be 10-minute presentations. After each 10 minutes, we're going to go on to the next. We're going to push through this in 1 hour, and then you're going to have about a half hour to bounce around the breakouts and say hi to these folks. And one other thing for the presenters, remember, you're going to hear my lovely New York tones come out after 8 minutes, and I'll say, "Get out of here," and I'll pull you out, but you'll at least get warned. Mike's not, our Zoom TD is not going to shut you off. But at 8 minutes, you'll hear me saying, "Please wrap up." Or Mike might say it. He'll say it better than me. But I've got my trusty little phone here, and we'll take it away. But we're going to start with AVID. We got 2 presentations for AVID, as Dave said. We've got the video guys and the audio guys. And hey, you know what? I follow the stock market. I have to admit, guys. And you know what? There was some good news from AVID lately. Very good news. Third quarter was pretty damn good for AVID, and it's good to see. It's a good sign, obviously, for the guys who have the stock. I don't have the stock, but it was good for those guys who have the stock. But it was particularly good because subscription revenue was up significantly. That tells a bit about where this industry is going, and maybe Ray will give us some insight. So, Ray, you're on the clock right now. Take it away.
Excellent. Thank you, Martin. And thank you all for the opportunity to present to everybody today. My name is Ray Thompson. I'm Senior Director here at AVID for Partner and Industry Marketing. I'm going to go pretty quick here. So for those of you who may not be familiar with AVID, AVID's been around for 3+ years. And as Martin just alluded to, we're really transitioning as a company to a SaaS and as a service and subscription-based company, which has really been happening over the number of probably the last 4 or 5 years, and has certainly accelerated as a net result of the pandemic. But AVID certainly makes tool sets that do everything from ingest content, manage content, edit both video, film, as well as audio, and then be able to allow for the distribution of that content. We also make tool sets to automate things like musical notation as well. And we cater to really a broad set of different verticals within the vertical, as we like to say. So everything from students at schools, universities, and on down to corporate, to certainly, obviously, our sweet spot, which is media companies and musicians. And that's really where we play, and certainly broadcasters. Real quick, prior to the pandemic happening, probably the biggest thing that was happening in the market was digital disruption, right? That was really the big thing everybody was talking about. And it was really driving a lot of change in the industry, right? And that was because consumers wanted content delivered to social and digital platforms on their time, right? And so that had a number of ramifications, both economically and operationally, basically downstream. What that really meant was, broadcasters actually had to build out infrastructure to then go ahead and deliver content out to those customers over the top, which is completely new, right? Not only from a cost perspective, but certainly as a revenue opportunity. And then all the way down to the acquisition side, where that was completely changing because people were adopting IP. So now you had this growing number of sources that you not only had to ingest, but you also had to manage and then certainly use and turn around both for the linear and digital broadcast. And it was the same thing in corporate, right? In corporate, things were certainly changing as well, as people were starting to rely on mobile devices as well as streaming to deliver things like corporate events and certainly in sort of corporate speeches. We also had, of course, after the pandemic, the distributed workflow. And in many ways, folks were taking advantage of tool sets that AVID had off the shelf for quite some time, including virtualized environments. And the same thing held true in post, right? So we had a large post production sort of market for AVID, right? Most people use AVID today for doing film, television production, commercials, and so on. And what we've seen in that market is a massive change, right? The entire sort of pipeline has completely shifted. And again, that is really driven pre-pandemic by sort of the digital disruption that was happening by consumers. And then that has rippled all the way down and continues to actually accelerate as a net result of the pandemic as people look for things like business continuity to support distributed environments and distributed workforces. AVID has been delivering virtualized solutions for a long time. And this is probably one of the bigger steps that we took a number of years ago. But I would say that folks really weren't taking advantage of what we did, I would say, until the pandemic. Honestly, the pandemic forced the hand of media companies, corporate environments as well, to virtualize their infrastructure, many of whom had already done so, some hadn't. And then I would say more recently, what we're seeing is the virtualization moving towards things like hyper-converged infrastructures that are taking sort of VMs and putting it on steroids and sort of extending it out beyond just servers. And that has really been able to enable us to really move very quickly and react and pivot as an industry as a whole. One of the key things that we saw was an uptick in the way in which folks were using IP. We introduced a solution called MediaCentral Stream. MediaCentral Stream ingests IP feeds into the AVID production environment. So you could either be running a full-blown AVID production environment, or you could just be running, say, Media Composer. But now you can take in incoming IP feeds from a number of different vendors. We picked open source protocols like SRT. If you're not familiar with SRT, you should look it up. Check out srtalliance.org. It's basically an open source protocol that allows you to basically deliver content over unmanaged networks like the internet. And that allows us to basically take that content in and put it into AVID's Nexus platform. And pretty much what that looks like is you could take Haivision, LiveView, or really any company that supports SRT or RTMP, send it over commodity internet, ingest it into AVID production tool sets using MediaCentral Stream, put it into AVID-friendly formats, which happens in real time, and then be able to then access that content. So for folks who are using AVID tool sets or are used to editing a growing file, that happens just as it would on an SDI stream, but it also now happens on incoming IP feeds. So long story short, your downstream workflow doesn't change and allows you to basically deliver content quickly to both linear and digital platforms. We also are taking advantage of this to do cloud-based production workflows. Microsoft and Azure have an agreement that goes back probably 5 years, and we're really moving more and more parts of the workflow, including full-on editorial as well as news production into the cloud. And certainly MediaCentral Stream is enabling a lot of that to happen and allowing for IP feeds to come in. This gives people the ability to not only do remote live production, but certainly contribution for news and certainly contribution for things like remote live production in the cloud. It also enables cloud-based workflows for corporate environments to not only take in IP streams, but then manage and then ultimately distribute those streams out to workers who are now working at home. The other big thing that we launched pre-pandemic was something called Edit on Demand, which is a turnkey editing solution in the cloud. So for those of you who have to do any type of editing for any type of corporate content, and certainly during the pandemic, one of the big trends that we saw was companies in general really turned to video and the creation of video content in lieu of live events to reach that audience and basically engage with their consumers and or engage on a B2B level. And so turning to video and creating a lot more video content was probably one of the bigger trends that we certainly saw. And we sort of saw things happen in two buckets. Either folks took advantage of basically on-premises environments and worked from home using things like Teradici or RGS from HP, or they turned to the cloud. And if they turned to the cloud, we had this offering called Edit on Demand, which is basically Media Composer running inside of the Azure system, as well as Nexus sitting on Azure Blob Storage, which allows you to then basically do a spin up using basically automated provisioning of all the resources needed. So the only thing you need to do is really basically have it auto provision, which takes about a few hours to go ahead and do so. And then you basically put in your key code and now you're editing. It supports up to 30 clients in the same environment. And basically you can upload and download content using something like File Catalyst. And it's all accessible securely using Teradici. which is the same tool set we use for accessing content that's sitting on-prem. We've had a number of successful stories over the pandemic, folks who were trying this out right before the pandemic hit, and then it turned into actual business continuity, and people started delivering a variety of different TV shows. Warner Brothers, for example, started out with one show and then ultimately delivered pretty much every show that you're now seeing on Netflix throughout the course of the pandemic. So it really became critical for them, right? So it went from something to as a POC and immediately turned into something that really became, like I said, business continuity. And next slide. The other key thing that we added was the ability to send SRT out of Media Composer. So one of the key things that folks want to see is the ability to watch content on any device, anywhere, anytime. And one of the things we didn't have in Media Composer was the ability to facilitate that. This allows folks to actually do a lot more in terms of collaboration. So they can actually be looking at streams coming out of Media Composer on a mobile device, on a VLC player. That VLC player could be running either on a laptop, a desktop, but it could also be running on a mobile device. It could even be running on Apple TV. And everybody could be watching what's coming out of Media Composer and then provide that feedback instantaneously. And then that basically means that you can deliver content faster. And we can do either SRT direct from point to point, or we can actually send it through a gateway, which basically replicates that stream and delivers that out to multiple devices all at the same time. And this is one of the cool things that have been added to Media Composer.
2 minutes.
All right, 2 minutes. So in my closing remarks, I know I just jammed through a ton of stuff and threw a mountain of information at you. But one of the things that I think Martin was sort of key in pointing out is that as AVID has shifted towards subscription-based offerings and SaaS-based solutions, we've seen certainly our fortunes continue to rise as the industry as a whole not only embraces cloud-based deployments of production technologies, but also as a service and SaaS-based solutions. And so that's really where the entire company has put all of its efforts, and it's starting to, basically yield significant results. I encourage you to go to avid.com if you've never heard of AVID and check us out. And my name is Ray Thompson. You can reach me at raymond.thompson@avid.com. Feel free to reach out at any time. And I think I'm going to get it in right under the 10-minute mark. Thanks.
You got
Martin.
a minute. You got a minute.
Awesome.
So this is where I get to call on Dave. And Dave, you know what? Ping him with a question, Dave.
Please do.
So that was amazing. I don't think I've ever seen an AVID person present that fast.
I had like 20 cups of coffee ahead of time. So
yeah, you reminded me of a contest they used to do at Autodesk. At any rate, the 60 slides in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And but I did want to, it has been a tremendous transformation, and I think that coming into the pandemic, a lot of us were caught off guard, AVID included. And I'm curious, how you guys went about doing things like adding the SRT output, which really makes a huge difference, so rapidly.
Yeah, we had been engaged with SRT and Haivision for a number of years, to be honest with you. And it wasn't until I would say last summer where things really picked up. And we embraced SRT and just IP generally. That was a big hole in the portfolio, quite honestly. And we saw just a tremendous amount of pickup, and really customers across the board, whether it be video, film, television, and certainly corporate, we're all asking for some way to do IP contribution and distribution. So we did a research. SRT has been adopted by well over 450 companies and growing, which meant you can basically do an Internet of Things in terms of either contribution and or viewability. And that just gave us all a tremendous amount of flexibility. So that's really why we picked it.
Oh, yeah. No, we're big SRT fans. We've been doing a lot of cloud production work. It's a great way to do contribution and point-to-point distribution, especially.
Yeah,
hey, Ray, Barry, as a coach or gotcha, I'm sorry, but just would like to see the previous slide, not this one.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, we could probably circulate slides afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to, by the way, print this out as a PDF. You can certainly take a look at any of this.
Yeah, you know what, Barry, it may be easier for everybody else. Ray, I'll get the slides afterwards and circulate it.
Yep,
but thank you for beating the clock. We're going to need to move on. It's your colleague, your friend, your audio partner from, I used to call it Pro Tools. From Pro Tools, from Avid Audio, I guess, right? Tony Joy, take it away, Tony. You're on the clock. And by the way, he did it in 9 minutes. You got a little bit of time. Slow down.
Hello, everyone. Excited to be here today. My name is Tony Joy. I'm from Avid. I am a pro audio solutions specialist. And today we'll be looking at our audio offerings from Avid to make immersive audio production, right? So we make Pro Tools, and we spearheaded Dolby Atmos production workflows in the industry. So back many, many years ago, when Dolby Atmos started to come and evolve, we at AVID, we worked very closely with Dolby to make sure we have a, what's the right word, a holistic solution so you can produce immersive audio, no matter if you're doing music or post-production or sports. Keep in mind now, Dolby Atmos is the buzzword, right? Apple Music recently came out with Dolby Atmos support, so did Amazon. If you produce for Netflix, let it be a cinema or a sports or whatever it might be, the minimum requirement right now is Dolby Atmos. And the cool fact is you can actually enjoy Atmos even using these AirPods I'm wearing right now. Now, the question is it that simple to produce content in Atmos? And that's where we at AVID come with holistic, complete solutions, right? So we have an abundance of different solutions that actually suits your needs. Again, as Ray pointed out, starting last year with the lockdown, everyone wanted to work remotely. And there was this ambiguity and confusion in the beginning that, hey, I need like 200 speakers to produce in Atmos. You don't. Actually, you can produce with just a laptop, Pro Tools, the Dolby Atmos production suite, and a pair of headphones. You can actually mix and produce in Atmos. But of course, from moving up from there, you can actually go all the way to big stage productions where you might be working with a Mac Pro or multiple HDX workstations. So we will quickly, in the next 8 or 9 minutes, look at all these few different options you have. So we will start with the smallest option, which is the laptop and headphone option, right? You might be on the road or on a flight or in a hotel room or sitting at home and working on an Atmos project. What do you need? Of course, a Mac laptop, a headphones, Pro Tools Ultimate, and the Dolby Atmos production suite. That's all you need. It works hand in hand, and you have everything you need to do an Atmos workflow. What's the next level up? You have a Matrix Studio, which can do up to 916 Dolby Atmos listening environment. What that means is you have 9 speakers around you, 1 subwoofer, and 6 overhead speakers. And with just one rack unit device, which is made by AVID, it's called the Matrix Studio, you can actually have a full-on Dolby Atmos production setup at your home. So all you need is a Mac Mini or a similar powerful machine, an HDX card, and a chassis as shown in the slide, and the Matrix Studio. Moving up from that level is when you get into a bit more bigger workflows, right? Post-production workflows where you might have thousands of tracks or objects in the hundreds of ranges. Then you will actually use our flagship product. This is called the Matrix. That's the device at the top right. It is, as the name implies, Matrix is a very dynamic device. You can actually fill it with optional cards depending on what you need to do. So you can actually put in analog cards or digital cards, room tuning cards, Dante, you name it, we have it. It pairs very well with the new Mac Pro or similar powerful machine. In this instance, you will be using a Dolby Atmos workflow where you use Dante, one LAN cable connecting the machines to give you a complete Atmos workflow. And the next level up, we look at a bit more bigger stages. So this is when you actually have a full-on production where you need multiple machines, right? So you have a dialogue machine, a sound effects machine, and then a mix or print rig. And in this workflow, you actually have dedicated computer running the Dolby Atmos mastering suite. This can be a PC or a dedicated Mac machine running the software. And using Matrix, you get the same scalability. So one thing I want to pause and explain here is that no matter what you use, all these sessions are scalable. What does that mean? I can set up my Dolby Atmos production session in Pro Tools at home using my laptop and then take it to the stage that has 4 Mac Pros. The experience will be seamless, moving from headphones to that stage, then coming back home next evening, continuing my work. There is no learning curve. There's no setup you have to change. No, you open your Pro Tools session. It recognizes the current environment and adapts to your workflow. So the whole point is all this complex technology becomes invisible and you get to be creative as you mix and produce. So all that is good. Now, how do you actually use the tactile surface to mix in Atmos. That's where we have that complete holistic solution again. So we have our series of consoles, starting with the S1, the free iPad app, S4, and the flagship S6, which is highly customizable. So remember, this is scalable, unified solution that works no matter where you are, at home on a laptop with an S1, all the way to the dub stage with all those Mac Pros and an S6. It will be scalable and seamless. You open a session, that room becomes yours. All the preferences are saved within Pro Tools, and it's that simple. And if you work in music side of things, we actually have something called AVID Play, where you can actually publish your music in Atmos directly to Apple Music. So from the idea all the way to publishing, we have everything you need to do that. So that's our control surface, S6, and matrix showing that's all you need actually to do a complete Atmos workflow. That's actually the end of my slides. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to take it now or later in the breakout room.
No, we can't let you go that fast. Come on, you're giving us some time to wrap here. So, Dave and I know each other back from the audio days, Dave Van Hoy. So remember those days, Dave,
Yeah, I
and you still have your guitar on the wall.
Yeah,
if I always say there are certain winners and losers in the pandemic, I think audio was a winner. What do you think, Dave?
Oh,
you think a lot of people started really caring about audio a lot more during the last couple of years?
Because you can only listen to so much crappy Zoom audio. So I do have one question, Tony, that's come up a lot, which is, unfortunately, Ray set you up for it. But so I think our number one asked for thing in Pro Tools today is, when are we going to see something like SRT output on Pro Tools so people can view sessions remotely? It comes up every day.
Right. So that's something I'm not privy to. I know our product management is looking into it, but as of this moment, I do not have an answer to exactly when that might come out. So yeah, sorry, I don't have a clear answer on that.
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt here for a second. Tony, can you put the last slide up again, please? Probably actually the second to last slide that's being asked for.
Yes, stand by. This one, I'm assuming.
Garrick, is that it?
Sorry, it was the last slide he had up on screen. Sorry, just before he went to his triangle.
That one. That it?
This is it. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep, not a problem.
I didn't see it clearly.
Got it. Yeah.
Thanks.
So Tony, one thing I am curious about, I think we're all very excited. Those of us who are audio people are very excited about Atmos audio in general and Atmos music, which is getting to a lot of press very fast. And,
right.
You mentioned the ability to produce it, even in a laptop on a pair of headphones.
Yes.
So can you explain for everybody, how does that work? How do you hear immersive audio in a pair of headphones?
Right. So Dolby Atmos is scalable, right? So again, starting with these AirPods Pro I'm wearing, which supports Dolby Atmos, it just a level of scalability never seen before. What that means is, if you only have two speakers or headphones, you get something called a binaural output, which is simulating 3D space using laws of physics, and it works pretty well. So you can actually perceive that even using a normal of what I would call a passive headphone, right? The AirPods Pro actually have head tracking, so it knows where I'm moving my head. So I would consider these a bit more active headphones. What that means is, when I play a song, for example, I see the vocalist in front of me. If I move my head to the side, the vocalist actually stays there because it knows where I'm looking. Mm-hmm. So Dolby Atmos, that's how it starts, with two speakers. And the more you have, the merrier. So coming back to your question, to produce in Dolby Atmos with a laptop, all you need is Pro Tools and the Dolby Atmos production suite. What it does is it creates a virtual patch cable. So it's a software that connects Pro Tools and sends 128 channels of audio to the Dolby software. which then outputs to your headphones or speakers, depending on which room you have. So for example, again, I might have speakers in this room. All I need is bring my laptop and plug it into my NEWTEK Studio, and I'm good to go. If I want to go on the road, unplug the laptop from my NEWTEK Studio, put on a pair of headphones, I'm mobile.
Okay, we had a question before from Barry again about, is there any particular set of headphones that AVID and Dolby recommend?
Right now, it will be the Apple ones, mostly because they are more accessible. They have the head tracking built in. But keep in mind, they are, again, advised mostly for monitoring purposes and setting up mixes, not for professional grade work. For that, we highly recommend using a tuned Dolby Atmos room.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Tony. And we're going to move on to our next presenter from EditShare. We got Bayon Shahidi, he's Senior Pre-Sales Engineer from EditShare. And you've been reading about the EditShare lately. They've been booming too. Somewhat like what you were saying before, Dave. They're hiring. They're going seriously global, right? There's some serious activity going worldwide with this company. So Bayon, why don't you give us an overview of what's going on, what's new, what you would have shown at NAB if there had been an NAB, and why you guys are booming. What's going on?
Absolutely.
And you got 10 minutes.
Thanks, Marty. Appreciate that. Let me throw my screen up here for everybody. And bang, there we go. We all seeing what I'm seeing?
We see it.
Excellent. So yeah, thanks, Marty. Appreciate the invitation. My name is Bayon Shahidi, Senior Pre-Sales Engineer. I've been with EditShare for a good, I think about 11 years now, so it's been a long haul. Recent introduction to the US, so I appreciate it, having a good time on the West Coast. And yeah, I'm appreciative of the opportunity here to share what EditShare has and why we're booming, as you've said. So who are we? I mean, at EditShare, really, we want everyone to create amazing together, right? We're founded in 2004. We're headquartered in Watertown, Massachusetts, and have offices around the globe. EditShare builds network shared storage and media asset management solutions, powering smart workflows for the media and the entertainment industries. Generally, we want to empower you to store, edit, and manage video using our software-defined ecosystems, which are uniquely tailored for media-centric environments. The EditShare file system and the Flow media management platforms offer the power and openness that administrators need, as well as the operational ease for any level of user. So you can see that EditShare systems are in use across a wide variety of sectors here. Our customers include the likes of key broadcasters such as Disney or NHK, post-production such as Marvel, corporate or government industries such as Fender or NASA, new media giants such as Ubisoft or Facebook, Meta, so I'll need to update that one now, that's changed. And education, sports, house of worship, basically anywhere where creative storytelling occurs. The EFS storage platform comes in a variety of different sizes and configurations. We start from very small single node systems and scale up to enterprise high class availability. And the EditShare file system allows for that infinite scalability in both capacity and performance without compromise on security or redundancy. Security is top of mind for facilities that are dealing with valuable content. I'm sure everyone here is in agreement. Our customers demand security that is project-based, either on-premise or in the cloud, that doesn't stifle creativity. And EFS delivers just that. The EditShare file system offers file auditing, which is real-time tracking of every file, every user action, every timestamp, every directory, every time a file is deleted. I mean, you can jump in there, search real quickly and figure out anything that's happened. We also offer Active Directory and single sign-on integration, as well as central management of users and permissions and quotas for IT administrators with the EFS Management Console or Flow Control or various other permissions and tools that we offer. Yeah. So the EFS and Flow platforms offer key componentry for production workflows. And you can see here that we slot right in the middle there. We offer just after ingest. In fact, we also offer ingest solutions where we keep all of our assets managed on a centralized location and move media only one time. You can use all of your favorite NLEs, including Premiere, including, I won't mention some other names, right? Let's move on, right? And then edit from anywhere with guaranteed stream counts in your favorite codecs. And we also offer open APIs for advanced workflow and compatibility. EditShare Flow also offers a suite of media management tools to simplify your production workflow. So you can see here, we've got a few particular clients here. We've got Airflow, Flow Story, Automation, Flow Control. And let me go through these one by one real quickly. I know I've got that time limit, Marty, so I'm punching through it, man.
Keep going, man.
So Flow in the production workflow. You can see here, we started ingest, where Flow and EditShare allows you to index and store your content. That can come from cards or drives, or that can come from cloud, that can come from anywhere. Basically, we're very ruthlessly open. We want to allow ingest points from all directions. That moves seamlessly into editorial, where your Flow asset management comes into play, accessing all that content that sits on the EditShare, and then we can push out to review and approval that's using the Airflow tools for remote collaboration, and then passes out to anything like third-party technology partners through open APIs. Now that's done through Flow, which allows you to organize and edit. So you can either work locally or remotely. You can create bins, projects. You can create string out sequences. You have complete integration with Adobe Premiere. There's a web-based interface, search, log, and organize, right? So there's also ingest, scanning, uploading. So you can ingest from SDI sources, 500 codecs or wrappers. You can scan content on object storage. You can upload through a web browser. You could be sitting on the beach in the Bahamas if you wanted to, right? Metadata can be extracted or created during ingest or export. Low resolution proxies are created. New content is added to databases that allow you to then browse, log, tag, search, anything you want within our tools or within your own editorial tools, your NLE. So you can populate metadata fields and create points and time and range markers and drag and drop content to the NLEs. And, the opportunities are endless. We also have panels that enter inside of Premiere or Resolve, extensions that exist within the applications themselves. So you can actually open up the Flow tools within Premiere, for example, browse your catalog of content, scan for information that you want, and import them directly into the projects without ever having to need to open any other application or something like that. This also enables things like remote workflows, where you could be sitting at home, for example, sitting inside of Premiere and accessing your content, from back at base at the office. Review and approval is another available workflow to us. It integrates directly into Premiere or to Blackmagic Resolve. We can offer version tracking. We can update metadata. There's a bit of a chat window that allows your, let's say, editors and your producers to communicate collaboratively. There's all sorts of options available for review and approval workflows. Automation, that's another piece that Flow can offer. I mean, complex, repetitive tasks, things you don't want to have to do again and again, that mundane stuff every day. You want to transcode a file and you want to relocate it and then you want to deliver it to someone. Flow automation can take care of that for you. And it takes care of it very simply. A lot of other systems do offer orchestration tools, and those are typically an engagement for professional services where you have to write that automation manually. It takes a lot of time and a lot of money. EditShare actually offers you the builder. We give you a blank jigsaw puzzle and all of the jigsaw pieces, and you basically put them together, link the buttons, and configure all the nodes. So it's very simple to, through a process of trial and error, create your own automation workflows. We have completely customizable metadata. You can create as many customizable metadata fields as you want, create as many templates as you want, and you can use those various metadata templates for either different projects, different departments, potentially, even different individual users. The possibilities are endless there. Plus, we can also interpret foreign metadata structures. So if someone's sending you metadata and you don't understand that, we can read that metadata file and then map it and translate it to our own metadata field. So this allows two-way communication of metadata from other systems that exist. So if you want to migrate from somewhere else, that's not a problem with Flow. AI, we can integrate with AI systems. Here's two examples, one being Voice Interactions Automous. That does complete voice audio transcription. It's going to take everything that a human speaker is saying, turn it into transcription files, throw that into metadata markers, and then throw that back into Flow, allowing you to actually search at any time and see the markers on the timeline of that spoken word. Object detection and facial recognition is available as well. We can offer you that with a partner here called Mobius Labs. That's if you've got a Lamborghini driving down the highway and it's on the PCH, right? Or next to the beach, it'll be able to say Lamborghini on the highway, there's a beach, there's the ocean, there's the sky, there's birds flying by. It's going to recognize it's a sunny day. It's going to be great and easy. You can search for all that at any time. Now, these two examples of AI aren't the only systems that we integrate with. We definitely integrate with AWS's machine learning systems as well. EditShare has been a partner with AWS for a number of years now, which is actually how we end up using a lot of our public APIs, right? Our APIs exist to integrate with a lot of different partners. We, as a company, are trying to be ruthlessly open. We want to talk to and work with as many people as possible. And you can see here's some examples of our partners. We work with people like Blackbird. We have an integration with Zoom. We have an integration with Audimus and Mobius. We've got Amazon Machine Learning. Helmet is another good example that is effectively Adobe Premiere, workflow orchestration and project management system that you can apply.
Reminder, Bayon, a little under 2 minutes, but go for it.
No problem. Thank you, Marty. Appreciate that. So our customers say things like this. I mean, EditShare Flow for asset management gives our students powerful tools for managing their media. Daryl O'Brice from the Liverpool Screen School has a lot of good things to say about us, and there's a lot of other customers out there that'll give us a good rep, I promise. We also offer cloud solutions. So there's a full end-to-end cloud solution here where we can start at synchronizing and archiving, then we can do remote proxy editorial, and we can jump straight to end-to-end cloud production. There are different stages and steps to get into cloud. Here's an example of end-to-end cloud production workflow where you have high-res assets on the ground, push them up to object storage that comes through an ingest process into what we call ESFv. That's the EditShare file system virtualized. Then we do editorial in the cloud using tools like Teradata PCRIP or DCV, and we can deliver out at any time. There's also hybrid solutions where you could potentially generate proxies on the ground and only push them up. And then you could do a remote proxy editorial workflow in a similar manner, but that saves you that cost of that cloud infrastructure because now you're only uploading those smaller proxies and things like that. EditShare has all of this capability available to its customers, as well as cloud sync solutions that allow you to upload your entire storage platform and keep them synchronized with all of the various cloud providers that you see here and potentially any others if you want to engage with them. Let us know and we'll let you know if that's possible. So if we require adaptable, efficient media systems for all of our clients, EditShare's cloud solution gives our producers flexibility and scalability. They can work wherever they want, with whomever they want, whenever they want, and they only pay for the resources they actually use. They upload their media once and they work from anywhere as if they were working in any GBH edit suite. So you can see that's a quote right there from Tim Mangini, the Senior Director of Production Technology at GBH. So thank you very much. That's me, Bayon Shahidi. Please join us in the EditShare breakout room and I'll give you some live demonstrations and answer some questions. Thank you, Marty.
We'll give you another minute or two for Dave to sort of zing you with one of his one-liners.
Okay, no problem.
Dan Hoy, what do you got for EditShare?
Yeah, so, one of the questions that's come up with EditShare has been around, innovations in the file system, resiliency. And one of the things that EditShare really did a lot of work on that, hasn't made a lot of noise, but is very important is how you guys have worked on the clustering in the back end to improve performance and make it much safer. And I think it'd be, super relevant for you to comment on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and to that point, actually, the EditShare file system itself has been OEM'd by a lot of other providers. So it's actually recognized by partners elsewhere that it's robust and expandable and useful. And in terms of its resiliency in that sense, the EditShare file system has been optimized for media across expansion over a long time. So no matter how many nodes you add, we never reach a plateau of capacity and also performance. So each time you add additional storage nodes, you're getting additional capacity, you're getting additional performance, and you're getting additional levels of resiliency and redundancy. Now, I could spend hours talking about how we do that with the file system, but that's a deep dive technical conversation I think we could save for another day if someone wants that. But I mean, is that answering the question there?
It does. And then the other question that comes up is, obviously you guys have put the file system up in AWS with great success. What about other hyperscalers?
Yeah, so we are in partnership with a number of others. We have tested on platforms like Azure and Google Cloud. They all exist. It's the partnership that we have with AWS that got us into the cloud world. We feel that's the most strong relationship there. But we definitely have a lot of other, existing customers that are looking at other solutions and that we have allowed for. For example, over in China, we have deployments in Tencent, for example, and it's the same ESFv platform that exists. It's just more of a, case-by-case basis where we approach that. So it's not a no, it's not a grandiose yes, but definitely AWS is our preferred partner. Yeah.
All right, I know we need to stay on time, but one quick one, which is, are you deploying via Kubernetes?
At the moment, we're using Terraform.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, guys, we're going to move on. And, I think and somebody correct me on the Viz group side of things here. All right. I think this may be the first back-to-back presentation of NEWTEK and VIZRT. And this is a bit of a tandem presentation back-to-back. But Chris Burgos, is that true? Is this one of the first times you guys have been
we're making
telling the
history
story
right
together?
now.
Yeah, this
we're
is
making history.
Definitively. Yeah, this is new for us.
Wait a minute, this is history? This is history, huh?
It might be. I mean, had we been at the NAB booth, we would have been in the same space. So you could have seen me and Pino within walking distance. But that'll have to wait until potentially maybe next year. And today you have us both here in this wonderful Zoom club. So thanks for the opportunity.
But you know what's amazing about it? You guys not only you would have done it at the NAB booth. You didn't have to go there because you won 4 awards at the NAB show somehow. I don't know how you did it, but I read a press release. You guys won 4 awards at the NAB show. So
That's true.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And maybe someday you can explain to me how that happened. But anyway, take it away, guys.
It's our good looks.
By the way, I have to say with this. So we got Chris Burgos, sales specialist from NEWTEK up. And where's Pino? Pino left. Okay, but I wanted to say your last name. Pino Barile. Did I say? Okay, but we'll start with Chris. Take it away.
Thanks, Martin. It's Chris Burgos here. I'm actually going to do a cool little dual presentation. So I'm going to share a little bit of information about the second my screen share works. Here we go. And we're up. Okay, so I'm going to actually do a dual presentation. As I just said, we're going to start with the NEWTEK side of things, and then I'm going to explain a little bit about NDI because I think that's going to be important to what we talk about in the future. So today's presentation is largely revolved around the NC2 Studio I. This would have been a new product we would have been showcasing. For those of you guys who are familiar with NEWTEK, we had a very similar product called the NC1 I/O, and this is the next generation of interconnectivity from NEWTEK. It's a 1RU one-stop shop for production pros. It's scalable for 8 video signals for either ins or outs or a combination. So that's what we're really going to be talking about today. So this is our foray into iterating on interconnectivity in NDI. We really started off this with the Connect line. We have Connect software, we have Connect hardware, both the I/O modules and the Sparks. And this is where we see the NC2 Studio I/O in the NDI5 world. We're going to talk about NDI5 in a minute, but this guy has support for 12G, 6G, and 3G into and out of IP. It can record 8 channels, so that's unique. It also has 10 gigabit network connectivity, which is going to be important as we talk about IP. It can also do conversion of both video and audio formats, so we can come into it via Dante and come out of it via NDI. These are important essential tools that we see as part of the progression and expansion of IP workflows is interoperability between those platforms. Here's how the system looks from the front. You notice a couple things up front. Hey, we have a hardware manufacturer that we're working with. That's pretty cool. There's greater flexibility support for 12G and 3G than we've had in previous products. This also supports all of the new NDI5 protocol. We'll cover that at the end in some detail. A couple of things to note about what the I/O module does, if you're looking at it. Color calibration, gen lock, both in bi-level, tri-level, also in NDI. It's got dedicated multi-viewer capability, NDI KVMs. It's a really slick workflow product that I think if you guys are looking to incorporate a traditional baseband workflow into an IP workflow, well, these guys are going to be essential. And the fact that they're rack mountable is a really big benefit for all that. And why do you guys want to get involved with the I/O module? It's real simple. I mean, this is about connectivity. It's about translating your video, expanding your workflows. It's just a tremendous amount of power in a 1 rack unit mounted system. Now, it may seem like I sped through this because I really want to talk about what's happening in NDI5 and what that means. I think earlier we had a conversation, and that's sort of it. That's all I have to talk about with that product. It's a really straightforward solution. It's a great enabler. But what I really want to get into is this new cool stuff, which is NDI5. NDI5 has been on the market now for a few months, but very recently we released a massive release with NDI Bridge. And so with NDI5, we have the whole world as your studio. Well, how are we going to do that? We had to iterate on NDI5 And this is 6 years old now. So we've been doing this IP protocol at NEWTEK and now as part of Viz Group now for 6 years. I know this because my very first meeting at NEWTEK, my first meeting that I flew into San Antonio for was the NDI meeting. So I started NEWTEK when NDI was just being born, was just getting out into the world. So I can track my own development with the rise of NDI, and boy, has that been a fun ride. And so, we've done a lot to allow you to move audio and video between devices. And if you've used NDI, this is how it works. But we've now expanded that with NDI 5. So how does it happen? Well, there's some core pieces underneath the hood. First and foremost, we did reliable UDP. So we now support another form of traversing the network. I'm not going to get too deep into the details, but our UDP is super helpful for the WAN environment. And the other thing we also gave you is some new methods of discovery, as well as NIC selection, which means I can force NDI packets down a given pathway in the network. That's all going to be important. A couple other slick things we released with NDI 5. All of this is free, by the way. Not the NC2 IO I showed you at the beginning, but this is all free stuff. We have NDI Remote, a remote contribution from a mobile device or a web page. You can get somebody from their computer into your studio with NDI Remote. Simple link sharing, really easy to utilize. Made for those kind of remote production talk shows, news productions, interviews, simple stuff. On the other side, and we had some people talking about audio, we've also expanded to NDI Audio Direct. And this is our first sort of foray into digging deeper into what makes IP audio important. This allows us to take NDI audio and intermix it with a lot of VST-based plugins. And so this is going to now enable some cool high-level audio workflows that I think traditionally would have been very tough in IP. And I've sort of saved the best for last. And there's a reason for this, because if you come to our breakout session, I will go dive deep into what NDI Bridge is. But in short, earlier today, one of the panelists said, you want to be able to do your production from anywhere in the world. NDI Bridge makes it a reality today with 2 bridge devices, one on each end of the network. One, and this is the wide area network. So one in my place in New Jersey, and let's say one in the San Antonio facility of NEWTEK HQ. I can actually connect and control all NDI devices and bring them in as if they were local devices. So if you've never used NDI before, NDI Bridge is sort of this realization of the dream, which is when we started this 6 years ago, we wanted to make IP video a reality for everyone. And for us, everyone is middle schoolers, church volunteers, your broadcast partners, sports organizations, it's gaming groups, like everyone who wants to be able to touch this should be able to use this. And with NDI Bridge, you can now do things over the WAN that would blow your mind, because every factor of those 6 years of development has now been exposed at that WAN level. So my PTZ right now that I'm using as a webcam, well, if Pino was on my bridge, he could actually grab my PTZ and control it and bring it into his own production. So if this is interesting to you, I highly recommend getting into the breakout session. NDI Bridge enables a lot of cool things. And with the product we talked about at the start, hey, I want to bring a bunch of cameras into an IP workspace, but I have my studios in Cali, but I want to switch it from New Jersey. Both NDI Bridge and the NC2 IO, that is a reality today. There's no need for a cloud service in between. You launch the bridge on both sides and you can do the production today. It hasn't been ever simpler before than it has been with NDI Bridge. And that's it. That's my whole presentation.
All right. Well, you know what? I don't know, Dave, you want to interrupt this, or you want to let the Viz guys come in and see what they can, let's see what Pino can do to match that.
Awesome. Let me.
I think we should definitely let Pino roll.
let it roll, Pino.
Awesome. So, the reason why I wanted Chris to go first, because a lot of what he spoke about, from the module to NDI is really folds in really well into what I'm going to talk to you about next. And before I get into that, happy Veterans Day. If there's any veterans out there, thank you for your service very much. Dave, ASG, thank you for inviting me to this. Viz is a relatively new partner for ASG, but we are very excited to be a part of the ASG family. I've known Dave for a very long time, and it's really fun and great to be working with you guys. You have a great company, so thank you for inviting me. A little bit about me. I've been in broadcast for a long time, originally from Montreal, Canada, moved out here to Los Angeles in 1998, been doing broadcast for most of my career, and I joined Viz in 2018, so relatively new at Viz, and I joined Viz in a very pivotal time, because of the great amount of changes that are happening within the company, right from the top management, right down to how our logistics works. So it's been a really phenomenal 4 years, and I want to share some of those efforts that are happening. If you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn, please do so, and I'd love to hear from you. So some of the things that I've been working on that's kind of going to lead up into what I'm going to talk about is 2 trends that I've been working on. One has been 2110, a lot of 2110 installations, here on the West Coast. Tennis Channel or Expo Center, they moved into a brand new building in Santa Monica. Marquee Network, also owned by the Bally Sports Regional Networks in Chicago, 2110. NFL Network, I just visited them yesterday, brand new facility, adjacent to SoFi Stadium, all 2110. So that's one huge trend that I've been seeing. Polar opposite, the other trend is cloud, right? And what does cloud mean? Cloud means different things to different people. When I refer to cloud, I'm referring to our products physically installed in a cloud environment where you can allow the operators to control that technology from the cloud, okay? Here are some examples of clients that we have. These are things that I can talk about. Blizzard had a lot of articles actually in SVG where they mentioned Viz and some of the cool things that they're doing with their workflows. Dave and I came back together after a long time. We're working with 2 large Bay Area companies that are doing POCs. NFL has done a POC, fortunately or unfortunately, during the pandemic for their business continuity. We're also working with an esports company called Super League Gaming, which is down here in Santa Monica. And these are all cloud installations, whether they're using Viz graphics or switching technology. We have some other customers that are going to be publicly, announced maybe later this year or early next year. So please, be on the lookout for that. For those of you that don't know VIZRT, VIZRT is a company whose headquarters are in Bergen, Norway. They've had a long history, so I'm not really going to go through that. I kind of want to speed it up right up to 2019. And NAB 2019, the company made a strategic, decision to purchase a company where Chris works at called NEWTEK for, various reasons. But one of the huge reasons was because of this NDI technology, which they totally, believed in. A lot of similarities between Viz and NEWTEK. They're both software-based companies. That kind of leads into some of the cool stuff that happened right around IBC of 2019. We, as VIZRT, released our first on-prem switcher, which was highly integrated with our graphics and our automation software. That on-prem switcher was actually a switcher that's been around for a long time. Is TriCaster product with some tweaks to what I call kind of Vizify it. Boom, we have this great switcher that we never had in our ecosystem. March 2020 rolls around, and we all know what happened there. A lot of our customers started calling us and saying, "Hey, we can't get into our control rooms. What do we do? How do we continue to broadcast? The show must go on regardless, right?" So we worked with them very quickly, and it was kind of around that time that Dave and I started talking about, hey, what can we do? What does Viz have that can help us? And our R&D teams, both in Austria and in San Antonio, kind of started to look at the technologies we had and the software-based technologies that we had, and said, hey, we've been doing some proof of concepts on and off, throughout the last year, but it was never like a big, priority, right? So let's see what we can do. And what we found is that a lot of our software could run in the cloud. I mean, it was virtualized before, but we never had really tried it. So we started to offer these solutions to our customers, and they were very grateful. And we were very happy that we could help them out. Roll around summer of 2021. NDI 5 was launched. NDI Bridge was launched, I believe, just a couple of days ago. So if you haven't tried it, please download it. It's wonderful. What I'm going to talk to you about today is cloud production. Why? Why should you go to the cloud? Like, what is it going to give you? What benefits is it going to give you? And I've probably been talking almost 2 years now about cloud and what it's doing for our customers and giving them opportunities to continue to do their work and even transition from what they were doing to some new workflows and creating some kind of hybrid workflows between still having your on-prem workflow, but also looking at some cloud workflows. So what does it give you? It gives you anywhere, anytime, any size, any format. It gives you flexibility. It gives you the ability to produce content. Our solution works in a virtual private cloud. It works, with the big three. It doesn't really matter. Fundamental things that are there is NDI as the sort of format when you're in the cloud. Why would you want to do that? To increase, if you have sports rights that you own, you want to maximize those sports rights. You have an on-air signal. Why not have an OTT signal? If you have a specialized channel, either during an election year, there's a legal proceeding, you want to cover it. You want to engage the audience at a level where you can offer them these types of things. Another basic use case, disaster recovery, business continuity. We think about disaster recovery or business continuity as having redundant on-prem systems. COVID showed us, well, what if you can't get into those control rooms? How do you do that? Is it good enough just to control them, remotely? Yeah, kind of, but not really. Simplifying your life. SDI is complicated. It's been around for a long time, but it is still complicated. Using off-the-shelf technology, 10 gig, 25 gig internet, equipment that's widely available is, a very appealing concept. In the Viz world, we have a couple of components. We have a switching component we call VizVector Plus. We have our rendering engine we call Viz Engine. We have our triggering software, how you trigger software onto the screen called Trio. And we have automation software called Viz Mossart. These on-prem solutions all work in the cloud. And they all work in the cloud because of NDI. We couldn't do this without NDI. So it's a key component that we have. It's not just about NDI, but NDI is a big piece of it. Also, multi-format output.
Pino, just a reminder, we got 2 minutes.
Yes, sir. Multi-format output. So with our switching technology, we can actually give you 3 different formats, right off the bat. I can't say much more about that, but if you're interested, come in the breakout room and we can talk some more. We offer video switching, graphic rendering, automation. We launched a new technology called Flexible Access. It allows our licensing to run on-prem, in the cloud, and in any format. And come in the breakout room, I'll talk to you about that. We have 3 solutions: Essential, Premium, Ultimate. Easy breakdown. Essential is just switching. Premium and Ultimate is graphics. The Ultimate gives you automation. And they all offer 24/7 support. And here are some workflows we did during the pandemic. You'll see this is very early on, a guy in France and another gentleman in Miami switching and running some productions. Last slide, go to our website, click on the demo button, and you can get a demo of what I've spoken about. Thank you so much.
Okay, before we let the Viz NEWTEK guys go, Dave, you have a question for these 2 guys?
We spend way too much time together already.
All right, so you don't worry.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I think a great question to ask, we've been using both the Viz products and the NEWTEK products to do quite a few different remote workflows. And I think it'd be interesting to contrast especially what's happened now with the new NDI Bridge and with NDI 5, where we have an on-prem NEWTEK product that we control remotely versus where we have VIZRT running in the cloud, also running remotely. And, between the two of you, why would you go one way or the other in a given use case?
It's a good question. I can speak on the Vector Plus side. What's interesting about having that solution in the cloud? I mean, from the Viz side, Dave, our licensing allows you to use it not only in the cloud but on-prem also if you wanted to. It can live in a virtual machine. It can live in a virtual. It doesn't really matter. It's software. It doesn't matter. Some big advantages of not wanting to control something remotely is because of latency issues. It's what do you do about redundancy when you're in the cloud? It's really easy to put up a second instance, flip over the license if something goes down. We have customers today that they can do a show in Italy today, a show in Germany tomorrow, and a show in Miami on Wednesday using one license, whereas before they'd need 3 licenses. So it's very, very powerful, hugely powerful. The licensing allows you SDI, 2110, NDI, all within a single license. It's a game changer. I mean, it's really, I'm so excited to be, doing this now because, the last kind of 10 years of technology have been kind of boring. I mean, seriously, right? I mean, look at what we've done in like the last 2 years compared to the last 5. It's been pretty amazing.
And so, that's, before we run out of time, I'll again back to both of you. There's a lot of new stuff in NDI 5. Each of you, what would you consider to be? Pick the top improvement in NDI 5 that you think is important.
Yeah,
don't pick the same one.
Sure. I'm gonna step in here because I think I want to also give a little bit of context for the last question. NEWTEK customers are very wide. Our customer base is very large. And what our teammates at Viz Group do is handle very high-end technical projects with extreme precision that need multiple touch points. So the cloud-based applications, my teammates at Viz are doing are amazing. For your churches, your high schools, your middle schools, for the low-end sports organizations, for the public access stations, for the wide glut of NEWTEK customers, the cloud today is not fiscally something that they can undertake. And so that's why what we do with NDI Bridge, which is my pick, is what's amazing. The NDI Bridge realization, it isn't something new. You can do a lot of this. Remy productions aren't a brand new topic. But when you open up Bridge and you have this thing working for you immediately, and you just say, wait, that TriCaster is on another part of my campus, but my college IT staff won't open NDI traffic to flow over the network, but I asked them to give me outbound network connections, and now I effectively have a full NDI workflow without having to traverse my actual local pipes. It goes out to the WAN and it comes back down to the WAN. And because of the physical proximity, this is like operating so smoothly. It's these little subtle things that Bridge does and enables for the future that is really changing the way NEWTEK is moving on in the future. And both Viz Group and NDI Group as well, like this is one big family. Like it's more ability to make new products to tackle new workflows that we've never seen before. So Bridge is definitely the gateway and on the NEWTEK side.
I'm going to bounce in here, guys, because Dave's going to get his question answered in the breakout room because we're going to move. Awesome. We're going to move on.
Move on,
and we're going to move on because Skip Levens has been hanging here. He's the marketing director, media entertainment for Quantum. And it's a timely conversation because we've been talking about transformation, and he's going to be talking about lessons from the facility to the cloud. And Skip, so take it away, please.
Thank you. Wonderful to be here. Wonderful to see those faces. Dave, I see you. I see that Rickenbacker on the wall. That looks amazing. I wish we could have met in person, but what I'm going to try and do in just a couple of minutes is carry through this theme of change and give you 5 quick ways that quantum is changing the conversation and changing the way and changing your workflows. Just as a fast recap, we all know this. It's been a crazy year, and more than anything, it's highlighted that content is king. It's always been king. Now everybody knows it, and content is changing shape and form. It is the currency, and it's going to look different, and you need to not just manage it anymore. You need to be able to make meaning of it. And that is exactly what Quantum has been transforming itself to do. Quantum has actually is changing the company itself. It is re-architecting and reorienting all the products. I think Dave said it's been 22 years. Yeah, quantum technology has been kind of associated with the big installation for 22 years, and quantum is now changing. It's acquiring IP technology, hyperconverged technology. It brought in CatDV that's had tremendous success under Quantum. They've doubled the development staff and are just going like gangbusters. The file system itself that's Quantum so famous for, StoreNext, is now virtualized. It's now it's virtualized. It lives in containers. It can now live on different hardware architectures, cloud architectures, and it also means that everything got simpler. The UI is fantastic. The way it licenses things is just like dramatically simpler. Don't even check client licenses anymore. You can now own StoreNext based on how much storage you want to manage. It's really tremendously simple. And then at the at the non-file system end of the scale, at the big object storage side of the scale, Quantum's making a lot of moves. ActiveScale is in-house. It's now private cloud, tunable cloud, and just introduced this ActiveScale cold storage, which means you can have your own Glacier-like architecture inside your facility. Very easy to set up. And if you want, this is another one of those changes, Quantum will manage it for you. Just pay as you go. So while Quantum is well known for this file system platform, it's now joined by this CatDV asset management platform. And of course, as a platform, you can now apply each of these different tools. We want to give you the biggest, most powerful, everything from a hammer to very fine precision tools in your workflow. And if we bring it all together, when you consider the acquisitions and you consider the changes and the transformation of all the products, we want to be able to come to you and say, hey, if you are a sports customer, let's say you're doing digital signage, you're doing brand packages, you're doing TV, you're recording games. Well, we want to talk to you now about dynamically taking that content and building it into all of your workflows for fan engagement, personalized fan engagement. And if we have, we want to talk to you about, other video looking workflows around your system. Why not surveillance? Why not take some of these meaning management, metadata surfacing, insight surfacing tools Quantum's building into everything and apply it to your surveillance footage just as much as you would to all the other content you provide. So this is where Quantum's coming from. We look forward to telling you more of the story, but now let me just hit on 5 fast workflow solution transformations. One, I sort of hit on. StoreNext is virtualized, containerized, and cloud ready. So yes, you can have the best of the fastest, the lowest latency, the biggest, the most bulletproof in-facility shared storage environments. But StoreNext 7 actually took all of those services and combines virtualized storage and all those services in a container, Docker-based container, and makes it available in a single system, a single 2U system that you can now deploy, rack and deploy in a matter of minutes, which means now StoreNext goes from being, let's face it, a pretty complex installation to being, let me roll in and rack a 2U system and start plugging in Ethernet clients to it. And truly, it allows you to land collaborative engagement in more places around your facility, in departments, in remote places. And I want to share with you something that a lot of customers are getting pretty excited about. If you have a total StoreNext environment in 2 rack units, why can't you put that in a flight case and take it on location or take it on set? I was just talking today, with an expert who does these very large virtual production walls, and he's all, wow, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity and advantage to bringing the best of tool sets. So forget fix it in post. Fix it in pre, fix it on set, do dailies on set, do high-speed ingest on set. And it could be as simple as an H4000 and a switch and, and then maybe an ingest transcoder. But it could also be a Mac Pro and some NVMe to make everything just go screaming fast. So that's one. Number two, why not take that StoreNext and supplement what's going on in your facility in the cloud? So we now are engaging in beta with interested customers that if you are an Amazon Marketplace customer, we will point you to and show you how to push a button and spin up this AMI that is a complete StoreNext in the cloud. It'll go as fast as the underlying cloud-based disk technologies will go, but it's a perfect way to supplement what you're doing in your facility. And for these beta customers, the feedback we've heard and the scenarios are, call it burst, where your facility is maxed out. Maybe you can't get into your facility to build it out more. So boom, set it up in the cloud, let people do StoreNext and everything they need to do to create projects in the cloud. Other customers are saying that I don't want any hardware. I want a no hardware post facility, because in the cloud, it's very easy to precisely bill customers by project. Cool. You can do that. And it's a fantastic way to bring people up to speed and test out and try out new technologies and solutions before turning them loose on your main facility. So very complementary to what you're already doing in your facility. You should have the best of both. That's the idea behind StoreNext in AWS. Okay, moving right along. Number 3, how about big collaborative solutions? They're very hard to set up and deploy. Well, Quantum has put together what we call the Quantum Collaborative Solution. And the goal is that we have a Quantum supported, Quantum tested, complete solution, all the parts and pieces, the integration, the training, in this case, the Adobe Premiere Creative Cloud integration, the training with your team, complete CatDV integration, and now the customer can specify whether they want these NVIDIA powered transcode servers, to archive your solution, hot archive as part of your workflow. You've got a choice of a number of technologies with Quantum. These can all be very precisely tuned to your environment and turnkey white glove in conjunction with partners like ASG that can help you get integrated, get you set up, all the fit and finish. And again, in this particular case, this first one was built for Adobe Premiere environments. It's again, you never have to leave your editor, and you can now get all of this functionality, look at all of your assets right inside your editor, never have to leave it. It's the best of on-premise and remote.
2 minutes, Skip.
Thank you. You get ingest, proxy generation, tagging, archive and restore, all kinds of workflows, all kinds of great stuff. So moving ahead, number 4, let's talk about content archiving at really, really big scale. Content in object storage is hard to search. Well, we've got a number of reference architectures that will show you how to surface all that metadata and finally make that object storage searchable, monetizable, and enhance it with other cloud-based tools, your choice. And finally, NVMe. StorNext 7 is highly optimized for NVMe. You can pair just a little bit of NVMe with larger storage, and it'll transform almost any part of your workflow. It's really designed to just break through bottlenecks all throughout your workflow, and is really transforming a lot of these workflows. So that was fast. I think I maybe just got in under the wire, but we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on at Quantum, and thank you.
Thank you. All right. Dave, you're going to have to ask Skip your questions in the breakout room. So everybody's going to want to join you in there.
No problem. Marty, we'll take 1 minute just to rat out Skip. And Skip, I know, is a former Marine, and it's Veterans Day. So thank you, Skip.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your service, Skip. Thank you.
It's a good day.
All right, you see the slide up there, guys. Breakout rooms. Now's the fun. Now the fun begins. You get to bounce around, musical chairs, room to room. You know, if you haven't done it before, it's pretty easy. It's simple. You know, say hi, ask some questions, bounce around, and try to see everyone. It would be great. There's a little 4 little boxes down at the bottom of your screen. If you're looking on your Zoom screen, all you've got to do is click on it. You'll see what the rooms are. Choose your breakout room and click and join. You want to leave, you had enough, want to try somebody else? It's as simple as that. And if you want to say goodnight, good night. We're going to keep these rooms up in a little longer because we went about, how long we go, Mike? About 8 minutes longer than we should have? That's terrible. Bad broadcaster here. But anyway, for the sake of this, we will keep the rooms open until the top of the hour. If you're on the West Coast, that's 7. If you're on the East Coast, you should be in bed by now, but it's 10. And I thank you for staying awake. And with that, anybody, if you have any questions, we'll hang here and we can answer you, but just go ahead and join our speakers in their respective rooms and have some fun. And thanks for joining us. We'll see. Stay tuned and spread the word about joining us in the future. Hope you had a good time.